Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
And this is Megan.
And on this episode, that I don't know if it's been highly anticipated, or at least thought of, or if anyone cares. Tough shit. You need to know about this to get any context of tomorrow's episode of the testimonial with Dahl. So I didn't realize some of the stuff that we talked about in that bonus episode with Dahl. No one knew about because I hadn't talked about it. So this is kind of why Shadow Walker, today's episode, Shadow Walker Part 5, now exists. Also, we might talk a little bit about Megan and her new abilities that she has yet to, well, not new to you guys, but some things that she's been doing that are just as, or at least more impressive than what I can do. So, yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. So the first thing, by the way, Megan's here. She didn't say anything so far.
Hey.
Yeah.
No, I did. I did the introduction.
Did you?
Yes.
I said this is Isaac. You said Megan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just recorded something beforehand, and my mind's everywhere. So a small update on, or at least a recap. I know how to do this every single time. But if you listen to this episode without listening to the previous Shadow Walk episodes, it's like watching the fifth movie in a line of 4 going, yeah, I can figure it out from context. No. But I'm giving you a short recap anyway. September 2020, I gained the ability to feel the energy of dead in my hands. From then on, awoken in me, you would say. From then, it evolved into pulling that energy into myself and filtering it. Now, I differentiate good from evil, or light from positive energy from negative energy, from my left hand being positive energy and my right hand being dark energy. And I've only ever pulled dark energy. I've never pulled anything light. Megan can attest to this.
Yes.
Yes.
I can.
From then, it evolved beyond filtering the energy through myself, because that started taking a toll, to imprisoning the dark energy into an object. Not just any object, the King Solomon replica ring. And for the last 2 years now, I have put a very long list of stuff in there. A very detailed list of how many demons, how many witches, skinwalkers, primordial evil, and I've lost count of how many human dark entities I put in there. What are you going to look for?
Well, no, because I don't want to. You didn't put actual witches. It's like deceased.
Well,
witches, like
yeah, the spirits of ones.
Just so people know, because
You put a witch in there?
No, because
Yeah.
You know.
No, the dead spirits of witches. 4 of them to be exact. No, 5. I'm sorry, I forgot about the other one I took. Yeah, 5 of them. See, how many cases we have in the amount of time? I keep forgetting how much.
Well, I think okay, essentially, I feel like hag entities are very common.
Well, I mean, these were,
especially with like shadow things, I've noticed.
in some cases we had in the last couple of people so far. Those are witches because they had demons in their stead, and hags essentially don't have that. Maybe a night hag or something like that.
So like there is a difference between hags and witches. Like witches are okay. I gotcha.
But as so far, yes, this ability of mine that's yet to be 100% defined, still figuring out its entirely, is not psychic, is shamanistic, and that's one of my 5 names. I think I talked about in the last Shadow Walker series, my 5 names. Still 5, nothing more. I don't have a 6th name now. Still 5 names. And those 5 names probably over my time of existing, past lives and stuff like that, is what's theorized anyway. But when I listened to Shadow Walker Part 4, and hearing how, I sound, and the mindset I was when I recorded it, I thought, it can't get any better than this. Ha 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 ha. What I have come to, and I recorded that in November. Shadow Walker Part 4, I recorded in November of last year, right? And it's only, we're now in April. And the things I'm about to tell you now, far more advanced. One of the main things being is Megan is the one that, I guess, gave me the idea for this. She said, and Mike as well, on our paranormal team. He said when my tendrils launch out, when I fire them essentially at an entity and I wrap around and I pull them in, it said it sounds like a flashbang going off. It's like it's a ping, thing sound going off, and you said it almost sounds like electricity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gave me an idea, are my tendrils electrified? Can they be electrified? Is there something with electricity that I'm not looking at? So the next entity that I grabbed, I imagine the tendrils that left my hand electrifying, like we call it a taser or something. And yeah, lo and behold, the electricity left my hands around the tendrils and electrified the entity that was in front of me, and weakened it to a point where it made it so much easier to pull in and put in the ring. So yeah, that's something I've been doing, electrifying entities as I pull them. And Megan has heard what it sounds like when I do this.
Yeah. Like it like just like electrical circuits. Like whenever you watch a movie or something and they're trying to over exaggerate the sound of electricity, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I remember Mike heard it through the spirit box.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
When he was doing the Etsy method, because I remember I grabbed something, I electrified it, and he was like, "Why did it sound like a transformer exploding?"
Yeah, it's very very much sounds like, especially if you're clairaudient, you should random times be able to hear Isaac. Like with it, it sounds like electricity. I know that's what. I don't tune in all the time to when Isaac like pulls, because don't want to, I guess it's just like a not protection thing for me, but I don't want to channel anything that he's pulling because it's getting put into the ring, so I kind of don't want to channel that. But sometimes it just, while I'm listening to the surroundings, it's just basically hear electricity. I don't hear the actual entity going into the ring. And that's why, is because like I don't want to channel it. Because I've never channeled into the ring, and I really no thanks. I've had things channel out to me before, but not anything crazy.
So yeah, a weird addition to now my ability that I can electrify them, and it's more than just like tasering them. It's like if I hooked up the taser to, a transformer that powers an entire city, a level of electricity running through. So, but yeah, that's a small update on my tendril ability, right? The next major update has to do with mind forests. Now, I've talked previously in different episodes about the mind forest and how it works, or at least what I see. And before, I would have to physically touch somebody in order to get contact. And then I don't know if I remember talking in Shadow Walker Part 4, but how I can now, I don't have to touch somebody. I can send my tendrils out, and they basically like connect to someone's head, or like I'm touching it with my tendrils, and I can see into the mind forest. And that's where it evolved from there. Remote pulling through people's phones, right? Sending my tendrils through the phone or video, whatever I'm looking through at the time, and pulling from their house or location, something that I was mastering and getting better at. And I've actually got to a point now where I can pull someone's whole entire house from the phone. I don't have to physically be there anymore. I don't have to physically touch my hand to the ground anymore. I can do an entire ground pull or area pull with my tendrils by just sending them out and wrapping around the location and pulling all at once. So doing through that phone is something else that's upgraded as well. But the mind force thing now, what I have got good at is pulling, or at least also two parts. Looking at someone's mind force remotely through the phone, and also pulling through someone's mind force through the phone as well. So I can clear someone's mind, and I don't have to physically be there. I can do it remotely. Well, remotely as remotely I can get. And that is where we started helping people. I've lost count. I think we're up to 12 people so far.
Yeah, there's been a lot. And one lady said it the best, that we helped. It was very, very brief. She just wanted like a clearing. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend. But she called it, what Isaac pulls the mind forest, a subconscious clearing, which makes sense that if there's an attachment, it would be festering in there. So, I don't know. I heard that, and I thought that was a great way to say it, especially if you want to do more of a paranormal term.
Well, the best way to describe to her is that the things in the dark side of your mind, and the mind forest itself, are whatever you regretted or shameful of or subconsciously negative emotions that you put down and hid from yourself. And it takes the shape of things in the mind force, from animals, from people, from different sounds, from even a scene of a crime, right? One person actually had like a scene of a crime in their mind force that was a negative energy. And whatever you went through, I describe it to you and you tell me if it relates anything to you. I can't tell you what it means. I just see what I see. And I can pull this energy from you and clear it out. And here's the other part. When I clear the darkness out of someone's mind forest, their spirit guide, or at least their main spirit guide, comes forward, thanking me for clearing all the junk out and saying, now I'm here. Don't worry about anything else happening to so-and-so. If they want to communicate with me, they can. And I've done this numerous times now, remotely. By the way, it's a new service we offer if you want to.
Remotely,
yeah. I've done it enough times now that I've gotten pretty good at it. Remember, I did 3 people in one night in the same house.
Yeah.
Like, well, try me now. Well, try me now. Like, guys, it's not a fucking party trick, right? But no, I've gotten pretty good at it. And it's weird seeing some of the spirit guides in people's minds and the conversations I had with them. Anywhere from actors, from strong men, from like the 1930s circus, from a doctor from the 1800s, from a knight, from a Samoan, like an actual native Samoan from the islands of Samoa. What else did I see? Different kinds of people. A woman who reminded me of like the depiction of the Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, how she looked, the same shawl and everything, but it wasn't her, obviously. But that kind of look and stuff like that, they all seem to be different.
And I think I've talked about, too, before in a previous episode. I forgot what episode it was actually on, but on my little, like, series of constantly talking about movies and TV shows, to give examples and stuff like that. And a show that I recently watched, it is called Lock and Key, I think. Yeah, it's on Netflix. And then that's kind of like kiddish, I guess. It's got a good story plot, but it is kind of like, I don't know, like Disney Channel-esque a little bit. But one of the things that she did is she witnessed a crime. Her father was murdered. And she moves to like a family house, and these different keys do things. And that's like the whole like magical part of it. Like, and one of the things is that it'll let you go into your mind forest, and your mind forest is created personable to you. So like, for instance, hers was like a mall because she's like a teenager and she loved shopping. So hers was like a mall, and there was like different areas that she would go in. And one of the things that kept coming up was like this hag lady, and like the typical hags that, you know, you see like depicted. And she found out that was the fear from the day that she witnessed her father being killed. And when she got rid of that, she was able to accomplish things more, because she had a lot of fear was setting her back. So sometimes in people's mind forest, it can be attachments, but it could also be things that you've manifested that have created negative energy in your vessel.
By the way, perfect segue. Some of the things I've encountered aren't subconscious energy put into there. Sometimes they are intruders into mind forests. And not everyone has intruders, right? People that are being oppressed have intruders. People who have been possessed definitely have intruders. Or people that are, well, mostly it's oppressed cases that we've seen intruders in. Like someone who's being demonically attacked or by a negative entity, they seem to put like a fail-safe in someone's mind forest just in case they get taken away, and it's there. Some of the things I've seen, holy crap, from rocky earth elemental looking demons to weird creatures from hags, from a jester looking Joker kind of demonic entity that kind of laughed like the Joker. It's like, you'll never catch me, right? That kind of acting wise.
Yeah.
And some people have in their minds, they have no idea. They just have a negative emotion that they can't understand or stuff like that. And I found out that people that have gone through something traumatic, extremely traumatic, their mind force always is very condensed. like the trees are always so packed together that I literally have to like squeeze myself through in order to get to the main housing point, which essentially is a house. And I've only ever seen that once with one other person. And then I think we helped out someone recently, and she had the same kind of situation, except hers was a hut. I don't know if she wants me to say her name out there or not.
Yeah, but she knows, yeah.
Yeah. And now who the Simone was in after I cleared everything out. But it's strange. And then I saw it once again in someone else's, like a small house. And I'm thinking, okay, these people have gone through something traumatic. It's the reason why it's a defense station built to protect their mind from anything that's happening. So that kind of gave me a clue into when I see that. Obviously, I never asked what the problem, what she went through. I just like, obviously, you did go through something. So that's something, another clue that gave me that was something was going on. Now, something else I figured out I can do in the moment was with Dahl's son case that we're talking about tomorrow when you listen to her episode, stuff like that. One of the points I bring up, and this is not giving away anything away, it's just me explaining. Because you hear from her point of view, it's mostly her telling her story. So it's not like I'm giving anything major away because I talk about it. But going into your son's mind, I wanted to leave some kind of protection. Now, after a few intruders into my own mind forest, right? I needed to rebuild and redesign how it looked. Before my mind forest that I built in my mind was just a simple woods, a clearing about the size of a football field in circumference all the way around, a fire pit right in the center, 4 logs for me and my spirit guides to sit around and talk around the fire. That wasn't enough security. So what I did is I built, in the same place as the fire pit, a longhouse. Viking times and stuff like that. I kind of model it after the longhouse from Assassin's Creed's Vikings. Or Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So if you want to know what my longhouse looks like in my mind forest, that's kind of it is. And you're giving me a bored face over there.
No. We had an issue. Not an issue, but like before don't mind me. I'm channeling on my end. Not anything. I got like a bombardment of like messages and stuff before we actually started doing the episode. So if I'm quiet, it's just I'm trying to organize plus pay attention. So,
yeah. But she's heard this all before anyway. In the longhouse, I of course I designed it in detail and stuff like that. But in the center where the fire pit is, I burned using my tendrils and electrifying ability at the same time the rune of protection, the Alvi protection symbol with a wheel of runes around it. And that I kind of put in the center on the ground in the middle of the longhouse as a sign of protection, along with the fire pit above it. And of course, all of us now sitting in more chairs and logs. So I kind of, upgraded, you would say. Now, longhouse is more a major form of protection now, because I noticed that other people who've had experiences built a house to protect their main source of their mind. So I was like, let me do the same, but mine's a little more self-designed. And it's not so as trying to shield me as it's just another form of protection. Anyway. But that symbol burning into the wood floor of my longhouse, my mind force, gave me the idea, could I do that to somebody else? So, in Dahl's son, when I cleared everything out, when I took the demonic entity that was in his mind force out of there, had a spirit guide come forward, I burned a rune of protection in his mind force. But to do so in his called a lot of effort on my end. I literally was burning the rune of protection with my right hand, using my tendrils to design it into the ground of his mind force, and pulling lightning from the ether sky of his mind force with my left hand to transfer through me to electrify my tendrils enough to burn the rune of protection in his mind force. And when it was done, when the symbol was there, it glowed blue. Now, at this point in time, if you kept with me so far, if you believe anything I kept talking about, hey, good for you, because I know I would be like, what you talking about? Yeah. Anyway, no, you hear it from Dahl's perspective how, and Mike, who witnessed me doing this, and what happened to her son, and how he looked. So, be prepared for that tomorrow.
Mike from Unknown Paranormal.
Mike from Unknown Paranormal.
There's a Mike on every team.
Every paranormal team has to have a mic. You're not a real paranormal team unless you have a mic on it.
Yeah.
Anyway. But you hear his perspective, what he witnessed when I was doing this. So you get to see that. But that is small updates of my abilities, what I've been doing so far. Nothing else out of the ordinary except for those minor upgrades to me remote pulling now for people's minds, talking to their spirit guides remotely, all that stuff. But one thing I looked up, because I was still interested, and believe me, I've been looking into my ability and stuff like that, trying to figure it out. I know since I started the Shadow Walker series, trying to find the answer of what I actually am. And the closest I've got to is I'm a shaman, a natural shaman. I was born to do this versus a shaman who learned how to be a shaman. That's the main difference, is that most shamans learn how to be a shaman. They can do a tenth of what I can do, but they had to learn how to do it. I naturally do it. So, that's the closest answer I can give anyone is I'm a shaman.
And that came from, the reason why we even went down that route is because when he was telling me one time about, like, more about his ability and, like, I don't know, we were going over things, and I kept getting this shaman guy coming through, and I was like, just an image of a shaman, and he was hitting the staff and, like, shaking it at me, and I was like, okay, I don't know what this means. What am I supposed to do with this?
Look at the staff. Look at the staff.
Yeah, I mean, it was emphasis. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if I was going to say that right. Emphasis on the staff, like, hey, pay attention to this. So then I started researching, and obviously, every culture kind of has, to a degree, their form of shaman. Natives have them. During the Viking Age, Vikings had them. What else? Oh, voodoo and hoodoo cultures, they have it. So there's a lot, and this guy looked like he was from, like, the voodoo and, like, hoodoo culture. Like, he, to the T, looked like a witch doctor, right? Shaman, essentially. And so I didn't understand that, because my concept of it was, like, typical, like, the leader, the guide, natural healing using, like, energy manipulation and, like, herbal stuff, and I did know they, like, combated certain things, but I didn't know too much about it. So then I started digging deeper, and then I started finding out that there were these shamans in different cultures that were referred to as war shamans. And they essentially, granted, majority of them would astral project, but a lot of them does do to a T, well, not to a T, but similar stuff to Isaac. They would clear people's minds. They would pull attachments. They would push back things, like heal you spiritually that way. And so I still was like, well, okay, what's the significance of the staff, right? Apparently in some cultures, and I've looked this up and it was on multiple, it did take a little bit of digging, but it was on multiple articles about it. And in different cultures too, the staff, when the shamans would, do their whole, like, cleansing routine of pulling from somebody, right? Guess where they would put the entities? In their staff. So it's not very far-fetched that Isaac puts it in a ring, puts it in an object, because there had been people in the past, shamans. And that's why I tried told Isaac to look more into the, like, get away from, like, the psychic side of things and start looking more in the shamanistic side of things. Because the conception of what a shaman is kind of just misconstrued, I guess. Just like you have psychics that just deliver messages about loved ones and stuff like that, people on the other side. And there's psychics that actually go combat the darker stuff. So just like that. Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, nice overview. That's why I got a war shaman as one of my 5 names. Small reminder. My 5 names. Earth Shaker.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Even has this Facebook tag.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Anyway. Earth Shaker, War Shaman, Odin Stranger, Shadow Walker, obviously, and then, of course, Ashwadakanta, the Reaper of Souls. Which anyone who's Cheyenne who's listening to this episode and instantly goes, Ashwadakanta? Yeah. Contact me if you know anything what that word means. It's Algonquin. I probably be saying it wrong, too. Ashwadakanta. That's what
and it comes through on the spirit box at locations, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, out of all the names, that one comes through.
Majority of the time, native spirits are calling me that. So, but I was researching on something that was told to me way back when I first started the whole figuring out that I'm a shadow walker. Because the other terminology used to describe my ability at the time was psychopomp, right? And I decided, you know what? If that word has been around, let me check that. Let me see if I can find anything on that. So I put in psychopomp in podcast to see if I can find anybody talking about it. Yeah, I found a few. And the consensus of a psychopomp is someone who that spiritually goes in the spiritual plane and helps spirits cross over by going to combat for them, or at least going there and helping them cross by actually finding them and tell them, hey, it's time to go, move across. I said, it's like, that doesn't sound like anything I do. That sounds like Megan.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what you do in our investigations. You help spirits cross over by going to their place and saying, hey guys, the door's over here, it's time to go. That's a psychopomp. You do, and it's not essentially you are a psychopomp. You do psychopomp work.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, you're in raw reality, if the Shadow Walker is a psychopomp, technically you're the Shadow Walker.
Dun dun dun. No, plot twist.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. But
the Shadow Walker is not essentially a terminology that's associated with psychopomp. I don't know where it originally came from when it was given to me, but now it's just stuck. So that's why I'm the Shadow Walker, or we call Shadow Walker Paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like multiple meanings behind it too. I mean, there's a little bit of I think it's ironic that we created Hidden in the Shadows before that even came. And we're hidden in the shadows and then Shadow Walker, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, because like podcast in the shadows, and then I find out that the name is Shadow Walker, and then we named our paranormal team Shadow Walker Paranormal. So
yeah, so it's kind of interesting how everything. That was before we were even investigating. I was just calling myself like, oh, I'm just sensitive to spirits. Oh no.
And now you're remote viewing. And speaking of which, something that Megan has, what's the word, been on the fence about talking about, but I feel is one thing that you could tell people about, because if you think what I do, I know if you listen to our podcast since the beginning, or even recently you got into it or stuff like that, and maybe you just listened to the Shadow Walker series up to this point and going, God damn, Isaac, is there anything that can fucking stop you? Or like, you sound, this powerful and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, even to myself, when I think about my ability, I'm like, it sounds so far out there and stuff like that how can someone like me be around, do what I do, and yet no one even knows about you or chooses not to believe? Yeah, it's when you're so outlandish and so out of the world and it contradict anything that's already been written and believed on, you, what's the word? You disturb the natural order of things that have already been put in place. But besides that, the point I was trying to make is that as powerful as you think I am, Megan has been with her own gifts. Now, you did your own episode on psychic stuff and abilities, but that was a long time ago now. Mm. But your main ability amongst all the other ones that you can do is remote viewing. And not only can you remote view, you can go anywhere you want to anyone at any time and channel the person that you're going to see. And all you need is a picture of their face, and you automatically can see exactly where they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Alive or dead. Yeah. So if you might get bombarded with messages now. Can you talk to my dead brother? I need to know.
No, I always am nervous to talk because Isaac is different than me. His thing is different.
I'm nonchalant. You're way over nervous.
Yeah, there you go. I do have to give him props. I wish I was more like this, but technically this is what I'm supposed to be combating in this lifetime according to everything that I've uncovered about myself. But I have very low self-esteem, and I
As much as I try to raise it up, you
Yeah.
keep smacking it down.
Yeah, I'm my own worst enemy in that aspect. And as much as I would love to say what people think of me, I'm not like that. I've tried. I'm getting better. I'm way better than what I used to be. But I tend to shut down, especially when we get any kind of negative things. And I just get nervous about like getting negative comments or getting because we've had people that have like attacked us and me personally about things, and so I'm always reluctant to share it because it's something that, you know, it literally consumes my everyday life and it's a huge part of me. And yeah, so there's a little bit of information about me, but was I going with this? Oh yeah. But I don't like to really talk about advancements like Isaac does. And he does it because he wants to be able to show people and let them know, like, hey, I can do this. I got it. And I'm the opposite, where I'm just like, I'm very quiet about it. And stuff.
Yeah, because you always get nervous when I say the same statement I've been saying since forever now. And I don't, like, I have to reiterate every single time, because it doesn't matter how many times I say it or how I say it, it comes off as egotistical or cocky every single time. But it's not. It's just a matter of fact. Nothing has been able to stop me once I started pulling.
But I think, too, like, with Isaac's ability, he has to kind of be that way, because just from, I mean, you just take movies alone that they talk about, like, demonic possession and demonic stuff, demonic beings, attachments, whatever you want to be. You can't have that honestly has self-doubt in my own abilities, like, just because of what I feel like other people are going to say if I talk about my abilities, has stopped me from opportunities and has stopped me from even furthering myself. Now, granted, I'm getting better at it. Because it's crazy. My higher self is, because I've talked to my higher self. My higher self is extremely confident, and I'm just not there yet. But with that being said, I mean, it's a work in progress, you know.
But the ability that I want to talk about, well, two actually, because I just reminded myself of another. It's in Dahl's episode that we talk about. Mm-hmm. But one specifically that I have never heard about before, nor I think anyone else has. Granted, you've never heard about what I can do. A lot of people say that already. Well, I've never heard that before. But what you can do. Okay, so imagine this. Megan's remote viewing into your house. The phone breaks. I can't visually see what's going on in your place because either the entity destroyed the phone or the signal's so bad they can't tell, and I can't remote view pull. Shit, how do we help you out? Well, easy scenarios of us clearing someone's house out, the service we offer everyone for free, mind you, because I know people say, well, how much do you charge for this? We don't charge nothing for nobody, right? Yeah. And never have, and never will. It feels morally wrong to me to do so, to charge someone for psychic services that you have over anyone all the time. It just feels wrong.
Well, because you don't know the financial situation, and you don't know, because I know, like, there's been some people that have messaged us that said, thank God you don't charge because I don't have anything to give you. And
your things is enough.
Yeah.
But a situation like that, like, what if, you know, we're offering our services, someone, the phone breaks, I can't visually see, but the entity's still there, we can have it, what do we do? The backup plan to everything, right? This is kind of like we use as a last resort. Is Megan, as she puts it, body bags the entity. Well, so you say it's body bag. You're like, give it a body bag.
Oh, because, okay, first of all, the way it happens.
Basically, you take the entity from the place that it is and you bring it to our place here where I can pull it.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because so this is energy manipulation and energy alchemy and all of that stuff, astral projection, all of that in a nutshell, because that's what it is to its core of what I'm doing, is basically I remote view and I put like how shamans and stuff like that can send like healing energy and stuff like that. Well, I can I don't know. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like this thing that literally looks like a body bag. It engulfs whatever entity, and I can, oh my God, it sounds so crazy when I say it.
Oh, you told me. I was like, what?
And take it back with me when I go, because obviously I can ask, one of the things of remote viewing and astral projection, I can do it on command. Before, like a lot of times astral projection happens when you sleep and stuff like that. I can do it on command. Like I can be here in my vessel, but I can be somewhere else mentally. Or yeah, I guess. And the reason why I say body bag is because it looks like a body bag. And it just came natural. I just called it that. I was like, I'm gonna body bag an entity. And
you told me that, I thought of that line from Karate Kid.
And that's like one of my favorite, like probably in my top 10 favorite like movies and even series with Cobra Kai.
Get a body bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've done that several times already. You've taken something from one place and basically teleported it to where we are here, and or dragged it back with you as you remote view back.
And
to the house.
I've had bad instances when that's happened. When I first started doing it, and I attached stuff to myself. So
the one time really that it got weird is that you're like, where is it? Like, I don't know. And I go into your mind forest, and there's a in your mind forest, and people are like, oh, I wonder what Megan's mind forest looks like. It's woods. It's kind of like West Virginia woods, right? It's more woods than forest. And then the central opening, like there's a pathway to walk, and there's a break that's about the size of a double-sided, like a French door amount of width. That goes into a half or semicircle opening of woods and a natural stone bench that's at the other end, like what you walk in, it's on the opposite side. Opening wise, clearing, like there's no, in the moonlight shooting through, illuminating this area. And on that stone natural bench is her main spirit guide named Mary. It's a woman from biblical times, right?
Yeah.
But in that semicircle, when I went in there one time, I saw a body bag, essentially, with somebody inside yelling and screaming like they were gagged. Like, I couldn't hear what they were saying with her.
Well, I think, too...
And I had to grab it and, like, pull it from your mind force and put it into the ring.
And a lot of this, you're probably like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, how
Nothing
could you
we've
do
talked
that?
about makes
like,
sense.
How could you do that? But it has to do with manifesting with your abilities and using your imagination to influence energy, if that makes sense. That's how I get it anyways. Because it's like, okay, they're physically in a body bag. Like, what is that? And that's just my thing of interpreting me putting the energy over the entity and bringing it. And I don't do that very often because to me, it's like, until I fully master it, it's kind of dangerous, but it would be valuable. Like
I said, it's like our backup.
Yeah. If like something is making someone nauseous at a location and they're staying away from Isaac, I could be like, bro, get over here,
Yeah. But that's one of many parts of something new you did.
Mm-hmm.
The new thing that you did was apparently, you put a shield around our house.
Mm-hmm.
But you do so by us burying stones in the corners of our house and salting it around, and then manifesting the shield of protection like a dome around our house.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to keep doing that. You could never permanently leave it there.
Yeah.
So, in a dire effort, I asked, could you remote view to Dahl's house and put a protection shield around her place? Like, imagine it manifested around her house as a shield of protection. And you're like, I've never done that before. Let me try. And yeah, you did. You put a shield around her house and kept it there permanently. But it's funny how you described how you did it.
Oh, yeah, because, again, you have, like, especially with abilities and energy manipulation, you have to use your imagination. The mind, irregardless of abilities and without abilities, is the most insane thing. Like, you can use your imagination. I sometimes think that's why sometimes, you're told as kids not to flourish your imagination. As you get older, like, shut up. That's your ignore your imagination.
My mind's playing tricks on me.
Yeah. Is because your imagination can help you do a lot of things, especially if you have abilities. And best way I could describe it is like I imagine myself I'm remote viewing, I'm at the location, a white light is starting, which is a typical like protection thing that they tell you. Imagine a white light is engulfed, whatever, around you, starting from your chest point, which is your heart chakra. And I just like ran around I hate saying this sounds so bad. Ran around the house like Quicksilver.
Flash is faster.
Flash. Okay.
Why do you go Quicksilver?
I don't know. Don't ask.
Flash is faster.
Yeah, Flash. Like, I just imagined running around. And that has also helped me being able to maintain going back and keep making sure nothing is doing it.
I said stirring up the pot.
Stirring up the pot, yeah.
Yeah. Keeping it energy
Keeping
fresh.
It forced.
Yeah. So, this is kind of like Shadow Walker Part 5 / Magnum Abilities 2. Our services, as they stand now, guarantee that doesn't matter where you are or what you're going through, whatever like that. We can find these things and take care of them from across the world or next door. That does not matter anymore. Before, it was a limitation to our abilities of where we can see and physically go. Not so much anymore. If I can physically see where you are, like via, FaceTime or Instagram video message or whatever, it's done. It's over. When it comes to anything to pulling wise. When it comes to seeing what's there and dealing with it, Megan can see it. And if the phones are no longer accessible to use or work with, plan B, or the hard part, Megan body bags the entity, which we're using that terminology now, and brings it back here where I can take care of it. So, like I said, there's nothing, nowhere we can't handle. And as a paranormal team saying that, that's a big balls thing to say. But it's true. From our cases that we've done so far and how many people we've helped, everyone can agree to the same, that you weren't even physically here and you saw everything how I described it to you. You took care of it. In my house now is completely different. And when you hear Dahl's episode tomorrow and you hear her speak of how we helped her, hear the emotion in her voice from how dire she was before and how happy she is now. You hear the proof in her voice of how we helped people. And she's just one of the many people we've helped so far. She's the only one that I've asked so far to come on and talk about it. I think I have a few others lined up who I want to bring on. But I asked her because I know her story was extremely dire and I know how grateful she was and all that stuff. So hear her story might encourage more people out there to reach out to us. Because I know some people might be on the fence about, is people even real? They don't charge anybody for what they do.
Yeah, that was a big thing. A lot of people were hesitant because we don't charge. And it's just...
I was just saying, we don't charge for what we do. We do it efficiently. Better than anyone has ever done before. We do it faster than anyone does before. My record time for clearing an entire house of 3 entities in someone's place, 20 minutes. Less than half an hour, I can take care of something that you would have to bring in priests, shamans, demonologists who would take weeks, days, weeks, even years to attempt to get rid of in less than 30. I am better than a pizza delivery place when it comes to taking care of these things.
Well, that's the thing, and that was a little one of the things I found interesting when we did the Vatican is that they not only were talking about it would take years, well, I guess that's more of a possession, but they were saying how people would go through multiple exorcisms and it would take multiple years and stuff like that. But this is the thing that I wish would be more of a thing, and I guess it just naturally happens because we're married. But it's 2 people with abilities working together to help somebody. So, and one of my things that I wish a lot of psychics would do, or even people with abilities would team up and help use the strengths. And I think that's one of the major points with our paranormal team is we all have different abilities. We all have different strengths. And coming together to work as one team to help a location or help, a person if it was like a residential case or something like that.
But I always say you're my eyes and ears because I can't see them or hear them unless I'm physically touching them or what my tendrils are, which is the word I use to describe them because they are technically tendrils leaving my hands. Well, they're extensions of my hand, my fingers, right? But on the energy level, stuff like that. But the point I was making about our team, right? We offer these services for free, faster, more efficient than anyone else there out in the world. And that's the part what people have hard to believe because they, in their mind, most people, and I thought about this myself. I thought, what are some people's oppositions about asking for our help? Well, if you don't charge anybody, why do you do it? You have to have an ulterior motive. You have to have an ulterior motive. There is no way someone this powerful who can do this efficiently and this fast doesn't have an ulterior motive. You're using these things for something. You're creating spells. You're using them for secrets or knowledge or magic or whatever like that. No. None of the above.
Yeah, no.
I said why I do it for free, right? Because I feel morally wrong about asking people for money before I help them. It's like a doctor asking how much you're going to pay me before you heal them.
Yeah.
And I imprison these things to ensure that they can no longer harm anyone, anywhere, ever again. When a priest, I'm not saying priests are good people to have around. I'm saying when they perform an exorcism and they push the demon out of somebody and they force it to leave, it does not go back to hell. It goes somewhere else. It leaves that space of area.
Yeah.
And then it's out there again to harm somebody else, somewhere else. And that is like, you're just creating a problem for somebody else.
Yeah.
It's still out there, still doing stuff. Oh, with me? No. Everything that I come across, I have taken and put in one location where it can no longer escape or get out or bother anyone ever again.
And some people have issues with that. And,
Why would you have an issue with me locking up a psychopathic murderer who only gets pleasure out of torturing people and watching their eyeball as he rips them out and eats them? Oh, well, why would you put that person? He has feelings. Why would you? No, you're trying to stop for taking people out. But I regress. Yeah, our main goal is helping people. Is ensuring that people find peace. Because some people we've helped go through immense amount of torture and torment, unlike anyone's ever come up before. And they've reached out to people and they've asked for help from different shamans, from paranormal investigators. And they got maybe a peace for about a week before whatever they're dealing with comes back. And they have a 30-minute call with me, and it's gone. And there's an instant change. Everything's back to normal. It's like nothing was ever there. And that, to some people, they find extremely unbelievable. And I understand. I would be unbelievable too. But when you hear someone else, besides me and Megan, talking about this, from their perspective, from their experience, it's hard to put anything against it. But you'll hear more about that tomorrow in Dahl's episode. I just wanted to give a Shadow Walker Fire Pirate update and talk a little about Megan's abilities too.
Yep.
Even though she doesn't like talking about them.
No, I hate it. I really do. Like basic stuff, but I hate. I'm just the opposite of Isaac. I just don't like.
At the moment, I guarantee one point in time in the future, hopefully you'll be
maybe.
like,
yeah.
Don't mess with me.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't have my own receipts for my abilities or anything like that. It's just I'm just a shy person, I guess. I'm all kind of on here, and so I try my hardest not to care about like what people that don't like us or whatever say, or people that doubt, because there's always, especially in the paranormal field, there's always going to be doubt. There is.
Well, we contradict a lot of what people have been believed for years, so it's hard to accept anything that's outside of what they've known forever.
And who knows? We may not be the only people with these abilities. There could potentially be more people, but they don't have the access to say it, and that's why I think we talk about it, especially with our abilities, is because it's important just in case there is people out there to know that they are not alone.
Yeah.
That there's ways to cope with having those types of abilities.
So I think that wraps us up for today. I say Shadow Walker Part 6 will be out in another year, but who the hell knows what happens in a month. And 1 month with us, I did 5 mine clearings and 2 cases, so Who the hell's know? I mean, April's been kind of calm so far. I say that now. Watch us have like.
Well, it's like it's calm. It's calm spiritually, but like.
Yeah.
And life, it's just a doozy.
But hopefully I can put Shadow Walker Part 6 further out. But who the hell knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months. So, but as always, guys, you can catch our social media at Hidden the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden the Shaw 6 on Twitter, Hidden the Podcast 2 on TikTok, or links to all our social media. Always you can listen to us at hiddentheshadowspodcast.com. And look forward to Dahl's testimony episode tomorrow. But as always, we'll catch your Weirdos in the next one.
Yep.